Right. So that gives us an idea of when we're talking to people, because, and I'll send out that video separately, just by the way, because I forgot to hit record. But um, when you're talking to people, do you just randomly attack them with, would you like to buy this, or would you like to do that, or would you like to earn some more money? Or do you first get to know them and find out if they've got an issue? He talks about the unaware. And right now, we've got a very, very, very large market open to us because people are unaware that, I won't say the world's coming to an end, but things are about to get exciting. If you look at the news, which you shouldn't really do, but it's sometimes good to keep slightly updated, we've got a few little issues further up north that we're going to feel the effects somewhere in the near future. One of the threats that was coming up earlier was that these guys are going to cut the internet cables. Imagine where that's going to put us. There's a couple of cables joining Africa or the southern hemisphere to the northern hemisphere. Without internet, we wouldn't be talking on this. We'll have to go back to the dark ages. How did Charlie build his
Oh,
business?
please.
Think of Charlie building Eagle Team back in the 80s. Internet wasn't even a dream. Didn't exist. Email also was not even a dream. It was just wasn't there. You had a phone, and a cell phone even was a, oh, look at them, they've got a cell phone. It was an unknown. But back then, we talked to each other. I was listening to a little blurb, I suppose you could say, not even a talk as such, by a young lady a little while back who had been in prison. I don't know what she'd done. She was some minor thing. And they were transferring her. So she was obviously very, very low risk. And they were transferring her from one prison to the other. But she was that low risk that they said, there's the train, get on it and go through to that prison. And she'd been behind bars for, I think, about a year at that stage, maybe a little bit longer. Didn't have a guard with her, didn't have anybody with her. She was just told, go to the station, get on this train, get off over there, and go to that prison. And she said the thing that struck her the most was that she felt more alone sitting on a crowded train than she had done sitting behind bars in jail. Simply because everybody was stuck in their phone. Nobody talked to anybody. Nobody looked at anybody. And she said it was the weirdest thing out because she obviously hadn't had access to cell phones while she had been behind bars. And she said she was coming out into this free world and everybody was in their own little cell, stuck on their cell phone. And maybe it would be a good idea for us to have the shock of not having internet for a short while. And it will be a shock because that's going to affect cell phones. Who's got landlines still? It's going to affect your ATM. It's going to affect every single thing in life because everything we do revolves around internet. So we need to actually start to talk to people. And also with this funny thing called AI that everybody's talking about, there are thousands of people suddenly without jobs because AI has taken the place of those jobs. Again, I was looking at a little article a little while back, and they had two pictures. And one was a picture of a helicopter with a news broadcaster and a cameraman doing a live broadcast of some other event that was happening in a city. And the other picture was of what has replaced that particular set of jobs. So in the picture with the helicopter, you've got a pilot. What you don't see is the ground crew. You've got the chopper, so somebody's got to build that and sell it. You've got your news broadcaster, and you've got your cameraman. So there's at least 5 to 6 jobs there. That has been replaced by a unmanned drone operated by one person, and the news broadcaster is in a studio. So 5 jobs, 5 to 6 jobs have been replaced by 2 things, or by a couple of things, but you've now only got 2 people working instead of 6. And I think it was Google that has just recently laid off something like 10 or 15,000 people. And also with this little upheaval up north, there's a lot of people there who are suddenly out of a job because they've been working on the oil wells, they've been working on the ships, they've been working out of the country. Now what? What are they doing? They're young. What do they do for a living? Because their source of income has just been literally blown out of the water. And those people, a lot of them are South Africans. And they're going to come back here to what? Look at that. We've got a solution. And yes, I do believe we are quite probably going to have a few little hiccups and delays in getting some of our products. But again, how did Charlie build a 5-diamond director business back in the 80s with no internet and no cell phone? And what products was he using? He didn't have a computer because he didn't know how to operate it. He still doesn't know how to operate one. He talked to people and he had a few friends and he got to know their friends. And when he got to know their friends, he got to know their friends. And that is the basis of this business, because this is where we're going to go back to. Probably not door-to-door selling. I hope not, because I'm not very good at that. But people are sitting without jobs. They're sitting without a source of income. We have a solution. They don't know that they've got the problem yet, but we have a solution. And as Charlie always says, we're in Africa. And I can't remember exactly who it was, but there was a lady at one of the conventions who spoke about the fact that I think she was a cleaner at a public hospital, if I remember correctly. And she would leave home at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and she had to catch 2 taxis and a bus and still walk to work to get to work in time. And would do the same thing in reverse in the afternoon, get home like 8, 9 o'clock at night. She never saw her children because her kids were asleep when she left, they were asleep when she got home. And this frustrated her. But she had no money. So what did she do? She went, I don't have time. I'm working all day. I'm traveling numerous hours a day. I don't have time. I don't have money. How am I supposed to grow this business? And then it dawned on her that just like Acres of Diamonds, if you've ever read the book Acres of Diamonds, if you haven't read the book Acres of Diamonds, do so. Because she suddenly realized that I travel on 2 taxis every morning and a bus. And I travel on 2 taxis and a bus every evening. So she made it a point of sitting between two new people on every trip. And she talked to them. She got to know them, and she offered them an opportunity. And I can't remember the exact time frame, but I think it was roughly about a year later. She didn't have to go on public transport anymore because she had earned enough money to buy herself a car. And she was earning enough money that she didn't have to slave away. She could actually see her kids and spend time with her kids. It is not overnight get rich quick, but we need to learn the art of talking to people. And my problem, I don't mind talking to people. One-on-one is perfect. Groups are a little bit more of an issue. But I've got one little hiccup that I inherited from my father, which I'm learning to overcome. He could strike up a conversation with anybody, anywhere, and have a long chat, and we go, "Who's that?" And he goes, "I don't know." But they were very friendly, and we got to have a good chat. And I do the same thing, but I just don't ask them their name or number. And Charlie does the same thing. He chats to people in queues. He finds a nice long queue, and I think Louis Smith does a similar thing. Finds a nice long queue, and he strikes up a conversation. And I'm thinking about the worst case scenario where we don't have access to these silly things anymore. Probably only for a short while because I think the world will collapse otherwise. But what will happen if we don't have internet? Iran has, or Iraq or whatever it is at the moment, is literally living that experience because they've had no internet for nearly 2 months now. Tomorrow, do yourself a favor. Think about the things that you do, just the daily things that you're doing. What does and what does not involve internet? Forget the cell phone. What does and what does not involve internet? And you'll get an idea of what can happen should the worst happen. But we've still got a voice and we can still talk to people. People have to learn the art of talking to each other again. Have you ever gone to a restaurant and watched a family having a meal? How many of them are sitting on their phones? I know my family's guilty of exactly the same thing. Everybody's in their own little world on their cell phones. But maybe we need to start to get to know our neighbors. On my way home this afternoon, I stopped and had a chat to a neighbor up the road. I don't see him very often because it's a holiday house that they've got, and it happens to be down here at the moment. But we had a chat. No, I haven't spoken to him about the business yet. I will at some stage, but that hasn't come up yet. I chat to him on WhatsApp because he's up in Joburg, but when he's here, I do believe I'm going to be able to broach the subject quite soon to say, would you be open to looking at a way to earn some income that won't require you having to run up and down to Johannesburg all the time? We had a little hiccup over the weekend recently where we had no power. Electricity was out here. It was last weekend. Electricity was off for 3 days. And that put a huge spanner in the works around here. Think about what you do without electricity. Jenny, you would probably be well versed in this whole deal. You know exactly what happens with no electricity because you're living that all the time. But yeah, without electricity, you've got a problem because all these electronic things that we've got, all of our toys, they've got this little inbuilt problem. They need some power to charge them. So we need to overcome these and learn to talk to people around you, not pushing any business down their throat, but just, I think it's John Melton says, be a networker first and a network marketer second. So simply, I know, William, you've got a nice big network because you had to do it for something else before, and you got to know people. And now you can just go and have a chat to them because they know you. We are not approaching strangers. We are talking to people who know us. And as Jerry Brasfield has always said, this business is built one relationship at a time. And I must say, when I see all these guys overseas and they're pushing out huge things and they're talking to 50 people a day, and I'm going, first of all, I don't have time to talk to 50 people a day. But second of all, how do you get to know those 50 people? That really is just pushing. Are you open to looking to earn some extra money? It's a very simple question, but if who's ever had these random phone calls that call you during the day and you answer them and they say, "Hello, I'd like to sell you a new phone or a this or a that or a I don't want another phone. I don't need something for my car. I don't need to invest in whatever because I don't know you. I've never met you. I have no idea what your intentions are. I suspect you want to make money, which is great, but don't phone me out of the blue and say, I've got this product and it's only going to cost you X amount. And they don't even ask, do you need it? They just say it's going to cost you so much a month, and can we debit it from the end of this month? And some people, obviously, they catch quite a few people that way. But we don't work that way. We get to know you. Hi, how's it going? How's life? And then you'll hear the problems coming out. Oh, geez, you've seen the cost of fuel recently, and it's just going to affect. Well, yeah, I know. Are you living on a fixed income? Oh, yeah, and I really don't know how I'm going to come out of this. Would you be open to looking at a way to supplement that income? Yes. What is it? No. Would you be open to looking? And from there, you get to have a chat. And it's really that simple and that easy. And I know I complicate things way too much. And I think we probably all do. But we need to then looking at a person with a, a problem, with a challenge, with a worry. People who are watching the news are getting worried. Thank heavens we don't have a TV, we can't watch the news. So yeah, pick up the bits and pieces here and there. It's good to know what's happening, but don't stress about it because I know with a simple pivot, we've got the platform. And if it really comes down to it, golden products are made in South Africa. We don't have to worry about them getting stuck on a boat somewhere up in the middle of the Indian Ocean somewhere, or Atlantic or Arabian Ocean, or wherever it is they're stuck. We get to transport the stuff down from Joburg. And people are looking for ways to detoxify their homes and knowing what we put on our bodies. There's a lot of poison we put on our bodies, and we've got the system to make people healthy. So we're building health and wealth and helping people to realize that there is a solution and the world has not come to an end yet because we're still here, we're still talking, and while that is happening, we've got work to do. So it's me for this week. I'm going to stop the recording.